That study that you mentioned was really revolutionary for many of us in thinking about GMOs. We were mostly focused on the foreign proteins of GMOs, and it was Dr. Anthony Samsel and Dr. Stephanie Seneff from MIT that came out with Seneff that came out with that paper. I believe it was almost 3 years ago now, almost, and it was really shocking because it related glyphosate to nearly 40 different modern diseases, which just sounds completely far-fetched and unbelievable. And many people and very respectable organizations actually ignored it because, or set it to the side because they didn't want to seem extreme. They didn't want to think like, oh, this chemical could be related to so many health issues. But as a medical doctor, I could imagine that you start seeing one and one put together. Well, wow, if something is chelating vitamins and minerals out of the body and we don't have vitamin D, like let's just take vitamin D, for instance. What kind of illnesses and diseases could occur because you have low levels of vitamin D? Can you give us some examples?
Well, a lot of the autoimmune cancer patients, they've come back with low vitamin D levels, and all the autoimmune diabetes and lupus, and also like patients with dyslipidemias, like cholesterol issues. So there's a whole range of autoimmune disorders such as those.
Autoimmune means, in my understanding, that means that the body sort of turns on itself. And what I'm understanding is that true? Okay, so like psoriasis on the body is autoimmune, eczema.
Absolutely.
What other kinds of things are autoimmune?
So basically those things, and then also like the diabetes, that's like a really big one. Lupus, and then there's also cancer. There's all of those are autoimmune disorders, and like thyroid issues. Yeah, that's autoimmune. Like
I want to touch on the fact that we're mentioning GMOs and cancer in the same sentence, and some people think, oh, you can't go there. That's so extreme. You're going to get in trouble or whatever. You're going to get harassed. Here's the thing. There are scientific studies proving that glyphosate increased the growth of breast cancer cells. This is from a study. It's on our website. I can't pronounce his name. He's from Thailand. And this was in the parts per trillion, very tiny amounts. It increased the growth of breast cancer cells. There was another study that showed the increase of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a cancer. So we have hundreds of studies actually showing harm now from GMOs, and many more as well from, hundreds of studies from glyphosate, and many more from GMOs as well. A good source for that is GMO Free USA. They have, I don't know, it's over a couple thousand now. And on our website, we just have a handful of them that I have read through and I've used in my blogs, and that's on momsacrossamerica.com under data. And you can see all of them there. And on my blogs, I review quite a few of the studies and try to explain it in a way that makes sense to me and other people that are not scientists. I want to reiterate that I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert scientist. I'm not an expert doctor. I am an expert mom, and I'm an expert of my body and my children's bodies, just as all of you are. And I think it's so important for us to be having conversations with our doctors, especially doctors like you that research, that listen, that don't poo-poo, the GMOs because of progress. So many people don't want to make assessments about GMOs because they don't want to seem averse to progress. And what I have to say, I'm sure you have a lot to say about that. What I have to say about that is that lead pipes in Rome were considered progress at one point. And, we really have to think about, if just because something is, does it really mean it ought to be? No, that's a fallacy. And we really need to look at what is the impact on our children, and what is the impact of ignoring the possible impact. Like if we just say, oh, it's not, it's safe. There's so many safety studies showing it's safe from the chemical companies that stand to benefit from it, right? It's safe. What is the consequence of that? Well, if you're wrong, tragic harm is happening to America from the result of ignoring the potential risk. But if other people who are saying, listen, there is something that's harmful about this product and we should avoid it, the only impact on us is that we're eating organic food and we need to budget a little better. right? And organic food is the way food always used to be. At once upon a time, all food used to be organic. So there's nothing wrong with believing that there might be something wrong, right, with GMOs and toxic chemicals, and avoiding them. There's no real negative impact to human beings. The negative impact is to the sales of the chemical companies.